I believe that everyone that comes here knows the format of this meeting, but usually we start with a prayer, then we have a short lecture analyzing or reviewing one of the chapters of one of the books from Emmanuel that were psychographed by Chico Xavier. Mostly this is a way that we connect with the superior realm, so we can change our vibration to really receive all the blessings that we need to balance our bodies, our physical bodies, but also our spiritual bodies. And after that, then we have our prayer, and that's when we receive all those blessings, and we also have the opportunity to have the blessed water. So I always invite everyone, if possible, to come with a jar of water, for example, like this, or a cup of water, so you can bless your water, and you can then share that with your family members too. So in this moment, let's close our eyes. Let's elevate our thoughts to God Almighty, to our Holy Father who knows our pains, our problems, our challenges, the challenges that go beyond the material aspect, the challenges that live within us, those invisible barriers that somehow make us feel unhappy and fearful and not strong enough. Dear Father, tonight we are here together in thought and heart, inviting you to come to our homes, to bless our houses, to take care of us, you who knows exactly how we feel and what we need. May tonight be an opportunity for us to heal our hearts, heal our minds. Help us have clear eyes, full hearts of faith, of joy, of peace, so we can overcome any challenge that we face. Thank you. So the chapter that we're gonna study today is from the book, Our Daily Bread. Many of you know that book from the Portuguese release. And the title of the chapter is Resist Temptation. And this is written by James, chapter 1, verse 12. Blessed is the man who endures temptation. So as always, we start reading the chapter that Emmanuel got into this small paragraph and developed into an entire chapter. As our spiritual ship sails through the waters of inferiority, we are not immune to severe inner conflicts, especially when in the physical realm, whenever we undertake the improvement of our soul by making use of the work and learnings presented by the world. We can expect an increase in difficulties that confront us on the path of illuminated knowledge. So reading this first paragraph, it may cause a surprise, like, the more I know, so more challenges I may face. Yes, that might be it. Because as the light approaches within us, then it starts kind of showing some of those rough edges that we have inside us. Rough edges of pride, of selfishness, of impatience, which are basically channels that can connect us with inferior, imperfect spirits. Again, against our aim for enlightenment, we still carry millennia of darkness inside us. So that's a good reminder for us. Yes, we are trying hard. We are doing the best we can. We are studying, we are reading, we are playing, praying, we are helping others. Nevertheless, there are centuries that we carry really difficult vices, that we have done horrible things, because the story of our civilization, our history, was built by us. We were part of that play. We were part of all the horrible past that we all study at school. So that means that that past is still within us. We still have this shadow inside of our spirit. Opposing our most humble aspirations to become better people, there are centuries in which we took pleasure in evil. So even today, there are times that we see that people we don't like or people that do not respect us or do bad to others, fail or suffer, and we may feel like revenge, like a sweet revenge. In the past, we were proactive in vengeance, in doing mean things to others, sometimes destroying families, killing people, or even killing hope, which is probably worse. Hence, amongst God's blessings, temptations of all sorts abound the disciples' paths. So this is very important, because all the holes that we have inside us, so let's think about us like a Swiss cheese, that we cut the Swiss cheese and we find like holes here and there. My holes are different than the holes, the moral holes that inside Leticia's spirit. But these holes are really the temptations that James is talking about here. He's not talking about the temptations that come from outside in. He's talking about the temptations, these holes, these shadows, this darkness that still lives within me, that can open the door to bad things from outside. For example, I don't smoke. I have never smoked. I don't like smoking. So even if someone comes to me offering cigarettes, the best cigar in the whole planet, I will thank them and say, no, I don't like that. Why? Because that hole is not inside of me. But maybe for someone who has been an addict for years, for decades, that would be a very hard temptation. It's the same experience coming from the outside, but that person has the hole, the shadow inside them, and that can open into something worse. At times, disciples believe they are well prepared to slay the dragons of animality that roam about their doors. And sometimes these dragons are within our house. These dragons are called my husband, my wife, my son, my mother, my father. These are people that can really take us out of balance, that can shake our edges, that people that are very close to us, that we care a lot and have the power of hurting us a lot. And then we think that we are prepared. So he continues. However, when they least expect us, when we least expect, degrading suggestions pounce on them again, leading them into challenging inner battle. So one simple example, my husband comes from work and he's impatient, he's nervous, he had a really tough day, he's very unhappy, he's nervous. I have a very bad day too. I am tired. But then he comes to me and throws on me all that junk, all that trash that he was holding off during all his day at work that he couldn't share with his teammates. But because we are very close, he feels like he can share that with me. So here comes, I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing my prayers, I'm studying, I'm attending classes, I'm really working my inner reform, this inner battle that he's talking about, that Emmanuel is talking about. But then he comes with that huge rainfall of arguments and rough words on me. My immediate reaction could be what? Reply at the same level. He screams, I scream louder. He disrespects me, I disrespect him more. So that's what he's saying. That in that moment, that's the moment that I am being tested on my inner strength. That is the moment that I need to win over these temptations, these holes that live within my spirit. Where I learned thousands of years ago, the eye to eye, the tooth to tooth, which is not the rule that we have learned from Jesus, which is love another as you love yourself. Indeed, not even the grave can exonerate us from our fights against the darkness, because its roots extend into very organization of our spirit. We know that we as spirits, we are eternal, that we carry all these backpacks of all the experiences throughout the millennia. We remember after our death, the good things, the bad things that we have done, the impact that we had in people's lives, the changes that we made, how we made people feel, good or bad. And many of us maybe feel depressed and sad and alone and feels like want to give up. And what he's reminding us is that we're going to take those holes, that pain within us, no matter where we go. And then he continues, only the end of our inner imperfection can free us from them. Look at that. He's saying that the only way that we can be happy, that we can be in peace, that we can encounter the peace that Jesus told us 2,000 years ago, is when we end, we kill, we work through this inner imperfection. That's when I am able to bury my selfishness, my ego, my thoughts of being better than others, more powerful, more important, stronger. We can only be free when we let it go. Tolerance should guide the human pathway, because evil will surround us as long as we linger in imperfection. This is so scary. As spiritists, we know that we are never alone. Our house, the place that we are here, this office, the room that you are, do you think you are alone? No, you're not. You may be the only incarnated in that room if you don't have a roommate or if you don't live with anyone. But I can assure you that you are not alone. Chico Xavier used to say that people have little number of testimonies have 7. So each one of us have at least 7 spirits inside our home right now. Multiply that by the number of incarnated people, and then you got it. So he's saying that every time that we cannot control our reaction through, because somebody really poked that hole inside our moral soul, we will be surrounded by spirits that are feeling the same anger, the same impatience, the same intolerance, the same desire of revenge. And then he continues, we will only be free when we attain full enlightenment. And this enlightenment comes from inside us. We know that Jesus used light as a symbol of wisdom, of moral. There is the parable of the 10 women that were waiting for their fiancés, but not all of them were ready and had the fuel for their lights. They needed the oil. What oil is that? What oil was Jesus saying? He was saying that we need to be ready. We need to study. We need to make our spirit sturdier. Our faith is stronger. Our willingness to win over ourselves, to control our tongues, to control our thoughts, to control our acts before the challenge comes. Because if we do not practice that, when we face the challenge, we will not be ready. We will not be ready. Think about it like a fire drill. For those who have children, know that the kids at school, they have to go through a series of fire drills. Why? Because there will be at some point, or maybe at some point, an earthquake. And they need to know what to do. They need to know that they should remain calm. They look for a place where they are protected under a table. They should not use elevators. They cannot. All the teachers, the principal, they cannot expect the children, 200, 300, 400 people to know what to do if they have not practiced. So the experiences that we have here, the small ones, maybe is someone who cuts us off in the traffic. Maybe someone that basically jumps in front of the line of the supermarket. Or it's a brother that doesn't know limits. Or a husband that cannot hold his tongue. We need to learn to practice our self-control, our inner reform on those little things. So when big things come, we are ready to hold together, hold ourselves together, and do not fall into desperation, into sadness, and give up. Understanding the transcendent importance of this fact, the apostle states, blessed is the man who endures temptation. So that's what James was saying. Because when we are able to control ourselves, we get happier. We are happier. We know that a fight at our house can last 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 years. It all depends to us. We know that. So if I can control myself, I can suffer less. At the present time, any reference to complete triumph is impossible because we're still very far from angelic state. We are. There's no way that we are not going to fall, that we're not going to make mistakes, that I'm not going to scream at my kids and get mad at my husband. No, I'm not an angel yet. Jesus was able to do that because he was already a perfect spirit, a perfect being 4 billion years ago when he created Earth. We are not there yet, but it's like a marathon. We need to keep practicing. It's 1 mile a day. And then we increase that 3 miles and 5 miles and 10Ks and things like that. We cannot run a marathon from 0 to a marathon in 30 days. We're going to get hurt. So we have this lifetime to practice what we came here to learn. However, blessed will be if we endure well these struggles and control our impulses. Control our impulses. And I think this is so important these days because people are just kind of bursting out of the blue. Everybody's so stressed with COVID, with all sorts of troubles and situations. So control our impulses of inferior sentiments and emotions. This is so important because everything starts with a sentiment, with an emotion, and then we start thinking about something and planning and doing. So we need to control how we feel. Perfecting them little by little through our personal effort and therefore inner reform, so that we don't embrace inferior suggestions that can turn us into living instruments of evil. How many times we look at the mirror and say, I cannot believe you did that. Anna, I cannot believe you did that. That we feel ashamed. And my dad used to say, after we say something, there's no taking back. And I'm not even doing something. I'm saying just a word. A word can hurt deeper than a knife. What type of instruments do we want to be? Do we want to be instruments of love, instruments of peace, or instruments that can hurt people? So Emmanuel comes and makes his comments as always. That he reminds us that we all have our darkness, our shadow. And Joana de Angelis talks about that a lot. That's our ego. That's everything that brings us down to matter. So it's our, how vain I am, how ambitious I am, my desire of having things that are perishable, that I cannot take with me after I die. But we also have light within us. We have good things. We have really sowed good seeds. We haven't done only wrong things in these past centuries. We have done good things. We have friends. There are a lot of spirits that are here around us trying to help us too. So there's this balance, like, the cat and the mouse with the, Tom and Jerry with the little devil and the little angel, kind of giving that suggestion to us all the time. Oh, do this. No, do that. You're a good girl. So who's going to win? So there's this story of this wolf that each one of us have two wolves inside of us, a good and a bad wolf. And then the girl asks her dad, so which wolf will win? And then the dad answers, the one that you feed. Which one are we feeding? In the morning, when we wake up, we can make a pledge of which wolf we want to feed. And then when we go to bed, we can reflect of what we have done and which wolf we fed. And then try again the next day. Just like what St. Augustine did. So Emmanuel reminds us that we are not immune to severe inner conflicts. We are not. We are all going to have it all the time. We're going to have struggles inside and want to cry and give up and run away and scream and get desperate and God knows what. Because we're still living on this planet that is full of suffering and trials. That we have this mix inside of us of shadow and light that keep fighting these two wolves that we need to manage within us. There's also the influences that surround us because of the frequency of our thoughts. It's like a radio. If I'm thinking good things, I am tuning my radio into stations of good things. I'm tuning my mind into good spirits. If I am thinking bad things, I am tuning my mind into inferior spirits. I am influenced by spirits 24/7. And that's why Jesus suggests us to remember to pray, mostly in the morning as we start a new day, and at night before sleep as our spirit will get free. And then he gives the answer, how to be immune to that suffering, because nobody likes to fight. Nobody feels good after a fight. We feel tired. We get dizzy. We get like rumbling tummies and maybe nausea and headache and pain. Then he gives the answers that tolerance should guide the human pathway because evil will surround us as long as we linger into imperfection. So tolerance is our shield. It's our invisible shield. And I gotta say, it's much more difficult to be tolerant than to reply at the same level when somebody hurts us. It's much harder. And then he reminds us, we will only be free when we attain full enlightenment. And this requires practice. And how do we attain this full enlightenment? Controlling our selfishness, our pride, our impatience, our anger, our desperation. Because everything on the top will lead into fear, into anxiety, into depression, which are the mental illnesses of our current time. Never antidepressants have and drugs for anxiety have sold as much as now. Why? Because we haven't been able to manage all of that. As we start managing our inner conflicts, how? Not only with spiritism. Spiritism is one tool, maybe having a professional help, maybe having the help of a doctor, a psychologist, maybe getting passes like this. Because we know that we have three bodies. We have the material body, the semi-material body, and the spiritual body. In all our conflicts, all our illnesses, they start where? In our spiritual body, not this one. So it's important to combine all the treatments. And then Emmanuel continues, opposing our most humble aspirations to become better people, there are centuries in which we took pleasure in evil. So we need to be compassionate. with ourselves. We fall and we stand up again. Don't linger on that. Because some people like be looking on the back all the time, thinking, oh, but I did this, I did that. And sometimes we did horrible things. But the question is, what can I do now? How can I make it right? How can I help others? He's asking us, he's inviting us to fight the good fight. What is the good fight? It's the fight of our inner reform. It's not fighting with others. It's fighting against our vices, our temper. And he gives us tools for that. Through study, to good thoughts, to helping others. We know that charity is a huge tool to help us feel better. There's no other medicine. There's nothing else as helping others that can start this happiness feeling. This is proven by medicine, by science. So why do we sit still and continue to live our lives without thinking about helping others, without finding time to help others, when there are so many people who need help? We need to control, to pay attention to our emotions. Yes, so maybe I cannot be patient. I cannot be patient. I cannot hold my balance every day, but I will make a deal with myself. On Mondays, I am not going to scream at my kids. Every Monday. I'm not going to fight with my husband. Or I will wake up 20 minutes before and I'm going to do 10 minutes of meditation to basically try to center myself. One day. Commit to yourself, put a target. Because we need to train ourselves so the outside world will not affect us, because it will continue to somehow interfere with our feelings, with our lives, because we saw that we live in a planet of suffering and trials. So we are the ones who need to be the shield, this invisible magical shield, like the Black Panther's shield. I love that shield. That is a real shield. And then he continues, blessed is the man who endures temptation. 2,000 years ago, James wrote that. And still true. He was one of the 12 apostles and was suffering too.
Eles que sofrem as tentações.
So the challenges continue 2,000 years after. And depends on us to win over our temptation every day. We know our vices, our inferior feelings, our focus only on material stuff. I'm not saying that's not important to work. No, we need to be independent. We need to be, able to pay our rent, to have our cars and everything else. But we also need to pay attention to our spiritual life. Let's focus on what's really good for me, the real good that makes me a better person. Because when I look at the mirror, I need to see clearly who I am. When we don't embrace inferior suggestions, or better, when we embrace inferior suggestions, they can turn into instruments of evil. And I'm absolutely sure that none of us want to be that. So let's focus on what we think, what we say, what we do. Because we are creating things every day, all the time, for us and for others. So at this time, we will start our virtual passe, and I invite you all to close your eyes. to elevate your thoughts to the superior spirits here with us. They know that tonight is a special night. It's the night that we get together to receive, that we come as children, extending our hands to our beloved friends, calling them, please help. Dear Master, dear Jesus, comfort our hearts. Help us win over our temptations. Cure the scars, the wounds that we've been carrying throughout the centuries. Show us, Jesus, the way. Empower our senses so we can be examples of your love, of your peace. Help us bring this peace together within us throughout our actions, our thoughts, our words. In this moment, the celestial spirits come and give us this transfusion of this powerful energy, positive, light, bright, involving each one of us at our homes. And this pass is also involving everyone who lives in the same household. It involves the incarnated and the disincarnated as well. We ask for Virgin Mary to protect our families, to strengthen our will on our path to enlightenment. To hold us under her veil in the moments that we feel afraid, so we can feel protected. Dear Mary, may your infinite love embrace all of us at this time, creating this powerful circle that involves all of us, wherever we are, because we know that our thoughts have no space, have no time. We ask you to take with you all the spirits who need help, who are looking for peace, that might be staying at our places. May they accompany you and find help, support, and hope for new beginnings. We also, in this moment, pray for all of those who have asked for prayers, and especially our friend Doug, who just returned to the spiritual realm. We ask for his family in California, and we ask for Mary to protect him wherever he is with her love. Thank you so much. Amen.